Welcome back to another video, and today we got episode 8 of MLB All Around, where we're going to be going over the past playoff series and recapping every single one, talking about how every team has looked, and making our predictions for the ALCS, NLCS, and of course the World Series. So if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe. We're doing MLB content every week until this season wraps up, and it is, we're getting down to it. We got 4 teams left. We're doing college football and NFL content every single week. We got college basketball and NBA content every single week right around the corner. So if there's any time to subscribe to this channel, it is right now. So I'd really appreciate it if you went ahead and went down there and did that for me. But let's look at my predictions. So this is the blank bracket that we started off with. These were my predictions. So I had Cleveland. I obviously got that wrong, but I thought that was pretty good. The Tigers end up winning that. But I had the Dodgers right, I had the Yankees right, and then the Padres. I am a Cubs fan, but I was just a little worried. The Cubs did end up winning. Then for the next round of my predictions, I had Seattle, which was right. The Blue Jays did end up beating the Yankees. The Dodgers did end up beating the Phillies. And the Brewers did end up beating the Cubs. So I only got one of these two right. Now, in the World Series, I had Mariners-Phillies. Obviously, the Phillies were eliminated. The Mariners still alive, still could get there. And I did pick the Phillies to win the World Series. So not too great on my predictions this year. But let's go ahead and move over to the actual bracket. And let's go ahead and talk about every single matchup we've had so far. So we're going to start in the top left, Cleveland versus Detroit. I win all 3 games, and the Tigers do end up winning. I really thought Cleveland had this. We saw the series twice to end the season. Cleveland was so hot, the hottest team in baseball probably. But the Tigers end up winning the series. It was really surprising. Did not expect this outcome at all, obviously. And it really was. The Tigers. I'm trying to get the scores real quick. The Tigers win game 1 2-1. It was a very low scoring game. Skubal did pitch. I figured the Tigers would win that game. With Skubal going there, he pitched 7 innings, only gave up 1 run. He was really good. So they won game 1 2-1. The Guardians did come out and win game 2 6-1. They scored 5 runs in the 8th inning. It was a really nice game for them. So they won 6-1. And then in game 3, I thought the Guardians had it, man. I really did. They were at home. The Tigers pitched Jack Flaherty. So I did not expect the Tigers to win, but they ended up winning 6-3. They scored 4 runs in the 7th inning, and that kind of put them over the hump. And the Tigers moved on to play the Mariners. Let's move to the other AL wildcard series, the Yankees-Red Sox. I really thought the Red Sox had this. I picked the Yankees to win the series, but when they went into New York, won game 1 over Max Fried, Garrett Crochet was absolutely dealing, by the way, in that game 1. 11 strikeouts. I believe this was the game the Yankees stranded, 3 guys on... They stranded 3 guys in the bottom of the 9th, down 2. I think this was this game, unless I'm mistaken. It might have been another game, but I knew Chapman went in there. He loaded the bases, but he got out of it. So that was a huge win for the Red Sox, and I thought the Red Sox were going to win the series now. Just because of the fact teams who win game 1 in the wild card usually end up winning the series. But the Yankees go out in game 2, get a very close win there, 4-3. That was a back-and-forth game. That was a really good one. And then in Game 3, the Yankees win 4-0. Cam Schlittler threw an absolute gem. 8 innings, 12 strikeouts. He was amazing in that game. So the Yankees ended up moving on. The Dodgers swept the Reds. It wasn't very exciting. Every other series went to 3. Not this one. The Dodgers just kind of put a pounding on them. They won Game 1 10-5. They won Game 2 8-4. So they were really just outscoring them. And then for the Cubs, they won Game 1 3-1. Pitched a pretty good game there from Matthew Boyd, I believe it was. And, the Cubs end up winning Game 1. Game 2, the Padres did take 3-0. Shota gave up that home run, I believe, to Manny Machado, if I'm not mistaken. And then in Game 3, the Cubs almost sold it. They were up 3-1 They were up 2-0 for a lot of this game. They end up going into the 9th up 3-1. They gave up a home run to Jackson Merrill in the top of the 9th. And then they had guys on second and third, I think with either 0 or 1 out, But the Cubs got out of it, and they end up moving on to face the Brewers. Now let's go into the divisional series. The Tigers-Mariners. This was a fun series, man. The Tigers took Game 1 in 11 innings, 3-2. Game 2, the Mariners come back, win 3-2. Game 3, the Mariners did end up taking, and I thought, okay, the Mariners kind of figured it out there in Game 3, winning 8-4. I thought there was a chance they could put the series away in 4, but the Tigers go out, win Game 4 9-3. So now we're heading into Game 5, all on the line. It goes 15 innings, but the Mariners win 3-2. That was an amazing game. Jorge Polanco had the walk-off single. And yeah, that was just a ridiculous game. That game just would not end. 15 innings, man. When have we ever seen anything like that? It was just an amazing series. I was really shocked when the Tigers went out and won Game 1 because I don't think they pitched Skubal in that game. Yeah, they pitched Skubal Game 2. So the fact that they went out in Game 1 into Seattle, won that game in 11 innings, I thought, with Skubal pitching Game 2, there was a chance the Tigers go up 2-0 going into Detroit. But the Mariners did end up winning Game 2 against Skubal. So it was a really, really fun series. Probably the best series we had. I don't think that's crazy to say. Let's talk about the Yankees-Blue Jays because the Blue Jays do end up winning in 4 games. Game 1, Blue Jays win 10-1. Game 2, Blue Jays win 13-7. They're up 2-0. It was a very high-scoring series. Game 3, the Yankees end up winning 9-6, but it's over in Game 4. The Blue Jays win 5-2. Vlad Guerrero was absolutely amazing all series. There was a time, I think, through 2 games where he had more hits than the Yankees, just by himself, or maybe it was through 1 game, but he was ridiculous in this series. And the Blue Jays, going into the ALCS with maybe the hardest place to play left, it's going to be crazy environments there in the ALCS. Seattle and Toronto are 2 of the best home field advantages there is, so that's going to be very fun. I'm excited to see who ends up winning that series. The Dodgers-Phillies, everyone was hyping this one up to be kind of the World Series. Whoever wins this, people were saying would win the World Series. It really wasn't all that great of a series. Game 1, the Phillies go up 3-0 early, and I thought, okay, here we go. The Dodgers end up winning 5-3, though. They scored 2 in the 6th, 3 in the 7th. Teoscar Hernandez had a big home run in this Game 1, and they won 5-3. So I was like, okay, they stole Game 1 from Philly. Phillies got to win Game 2. The Dodgers win Game 2, 4-3. The Phillies tried to rally late. They were down 4-0 going into the 8th. They scored 1 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th, but it ultimately wasn't enough. Imagine facing, the Dodgers were doing this all series, but you're pitching, you're facing like 2 or 3 starters a game because the Dodgers bullpen's so bad. But they have so many starting pitchers where they just go ahead and pitch the starters out of the bullpen, and it was working. The Phillies were really struggling. Game 3, the Phillies did end up winning 8-2, but it all ended in Game 4. The Dodgers win 2-1 in the 11th, and obviously the big story, the Phillies pitcher throws it home. He didn't know how many outs there were, I guess. If he throws it to first, maybe the Phillies get out of LA with a win going into Game 5 in Philadelphia. It's a completely different story. Maybe we're talking about the Phillies here in this spot, but no, the Dodgers end up holding on. And the Dodgers look really good, man. There's a really good chance they repeat, I think. And then Cubs-Brewers. This was the other series that went 5 games. And it was a really interesting series. Milwaukee took the first 2 games pretty handedly. They won Game 1 9-3 after the Cubs hit a home run. Michael Busch leadoff home run to start the game, to start the series. And then the Brewers score 6 runs in the bottom of the first, 3 also in the second, and they never looked back. They win Game 1 9-3. It was never really in question. Game 2, they won 7-3. The Cubs score 3 runs in the first inning this time. Guess what? The Brewers match it. Bottom of the first, they score 3 runs as well. They score 1 in the third, 3 in the fourth. They end up winning 7-3. The Cubs could not score out of the first inning. That was kind of the whole story. This whole series, they just couldn't score besides the first inning. Game 3, though, they win 4-3. Guess what? All 4 of their runs in the first inning, but they did hold on there. And then in Game 4, they win 6-0. This was the game where they actually were able to score. They scored in the 6th, 7th, and 8th, all 1 run. And they had 10 hits compared to Milwaukee's 3. Matthew Boyd pitched a really nice game, threw a shutout. Cubs win 6-0, and now going into Milwaukee for Game 5, I was expecting a big game here. I was expecting the Cubs, maybe they figured it out. Maybe there's a chance they can do it. Because, the previous game, Game 4, they were looking pretty solid, man. They actually were getting hits out of the first inning. I thought there was a chance the Cubs could win. The Brewers also pitched Freddie Peralta in Game 4, so I was thinking, all right, the Cubs might have a shot here. I was more worried about them losing Game 4 than I was Game 5, to be honest. But, unfortunately, they could not score. They only had 4 hits the entire game, and the Brewers end up winning 3-1. Yeah, it was unfortunate. Seiya Suzuki was the only guy who got offense, and the Cubs, suffer a heartbreaking loss. It sucks as a Cubs fan, but I'm pretty confident for next year. I'm excited for next year, but it's always tough, especially losing to the Brewers, man. Especially in the fashion they did. It really does hurt. It really does sting. But at least we'll get to watch the rest of the playoffs without that worry or that anxiety that I'll have to have. Rooting for the Cubs. But now let's talk about our predictions. So the ALCS, like I said, 2 of the best environments in baseball. It's going to be amazing to see these atmospheres. Toronto and Seattle, 2 amazing fan bases, 2 amazing stadiums. And there's a lot of great players in this series. But honestly, I'm going to take the Blue Jays. I know I picked Seattle to go to the World Series in my prediction, so I could potentially stick with that. And I think Seattle could very well get there. I think their pitching is up there with the Blue Jays, but maybe even better. But with the way the Blue Jays looked against the Yankees, I can't ignore that. Their offense was clicking on all cylinders, and the Mariners kind of struggled with the Tigers, who coming in were, at the bottom of the barrel, no momentum at all. I know they got pretty good in the playoffs, but I got to go with the Blue Jays. They also get the home field. I'm going to say I actually think this does go all 7 games, though. I think the Blue Jays win in 7. But I could also see the Blue Jays, winning in like 5 or 6. I think the Blue Jays are rolling right now. I'm going to take them to the World Series. I'm going to ride the hot hand. And then Dodgers-Brewers. This is an interesting one because normally I would take the Dodgers in a heartbeat just because I don't trust the Brewers in the playoffs. But this looks a little different, man. They're just getting hits. Like, they don't rely on home runs. They don't rely on they just all hit, and it's a bunch of random. I don't want to say randoms, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you look at this lineup, and it's just a lot of guys who you wouldn't expect to be as good as they are, but they are. Andrew Vaughn's been amazing in the playoffs. Jackson Churrio's hitting just under 400 in the playoffs. William Contreras is hitting 300 in the playoffs. Like, so many of these guys are stepping up. Also, the Brewers get home field advantage in the series. They also owned the Dodgers in the regular season. The Dodgers could not play the Brewers. They were not good against the Brewers. With that being said, though, I'm just still going to take the Dodgers. You look at this talent, man. It's hard to go against it. They just beat the Phillies in 4, who I had winning the World Series, so I think that goes to show how confident I am with the Dodgers. I do think the Dodgers get to the World Series. I mean, you got that top 4 is just disgusting, man. Ohtani, Mookie, Freddie, and Teoscar Hernandez. It's ridiculous. Plus, you got all the starters they're throwing out in the bullpen. Like, imagine being the Brewers. You have to face Shohei Ohtani. This is what they did for Game 1. You had to, against the Phillies, you had to face Shohei for like 6 innings, and then you have to face Tyler Glasnow out of the bullpen. That is just ridiculous. So I'm going to take the Dodgers. I just trust them more. And kind of for the same reason. Game prediction. I'll take the Dodgers in 6. I think the Brewers can make it interesting just because they were so good against the Dodgers in the regular season, but playoffs are a little bit different. I'm going to take the Dodgers to win. Kind of for the same reason. I know the Blue Jays offense is firing on all cylinders right now, but I think the Dodgers are the team that can compete with that and maybe can contain that a little bit. I think the Dodgers repeat. I know it's very hard to do. Could the Blue Jays win? Sure. I think any of these 4 teams could actually win the World Series. It's still kind of wide open for me, but the team I do feel the best about is going to be the Dodgers just because, I mean, just look at this lineup, man. Look at this offense. And like I said, they have like 8 starters. It's ridiculous. Roki Sasaki is like their closer now. It's insane what they're doing. I think the Dodgers do repeat. I know it's like extremely hard to do in baseball, but you're looking at the setup, man, and it's set up really nicely for the Dodgers. I think their hardest opponent they were going to have to face was the Phillies, and they handled them in 4 games. So with that, I'm going to change my World Series pick right now to the Dodgers. I'm going to have the Dodgers beating the Blue Jays I'll say in 6. I think the Blue Jays offense can win them 2 games, but I think the Dodgers end up winning the series. But that's going to do it for episode 8 of MLB All Around. Let me know who you guys have winning the World Series of the 4 remaining teams. Let me know who's in your World Series as well. And let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know what's your favorite series been of the playoffs so far down in the comments. I'd love to discuss down there. But that is going to do it. If you like this video, make sure you go on there and leave a like. Subscribe if you're new. But with all that being said, that is going to do it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in 2 days with another college football top 25 rankings video. Thank you so much for watching.